Auburn University Marching Band. For your halftime entertainment, we celebrate the 43-year reign of the Speed Metal Kings, Metallica. With 9 Grammy Awards and 14 nominations, 38 concert tours worldwide, and 11 studio albums that span 4 decades, the Titans of Thrash remain the standard by which all other metal is measured. We begin with a 1984 classic from their second album, For Whom the Bell Tolls, followed by the 1992 tour anthem, Wherever I May Roam. And now, let's turn down the house and light up the stage for the Auburn University Marching Band and their show, Metallica.
Wednesday night has returned once again, and that means it's time for Auburn Family Night. This is the show each week at E2C Network where you take center stage. We're going to take your comments, your questions, your topics, and your calls, but everything is going to be orange and blue related. After all, we cover the Auburn experience here. Let's get into it right now. War Eagle, everybody, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down or stand up if you're standing, I guess, and we cover and talk about, share the Auburn experience. The Auburn experience to us is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family stuff. An easier way to say it is if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. So thank you so much for joining us and what we're going to be doing this evening. If you're watching this live and if you're catching the replay, whenever you watch this, we're going to be getting into the Auburn experience today, talking about all the things that are related back to Auburn that you want to discuss tonight. But most certainly, you take center stage this evening. We want to start off the show as we've been doing several weeks now in a row. So proud to be partnering with our friends Barner. I keep calling them Barner Brand because it's alliteration, but Barner Supply. Visit them at barnersupply.com so that you can check out not just great gear with this logo and the one that you can see down there in the bottom left corner for you guys, but also they've got some other gear that I'll be wearing and sharing out on social media and stuff, and you'll see on here on the shows. But proudly, the Auburn Family Night live stream is brought to you by our friends at Barner Supply. Check them out at barnersupply.com. Also, we want to thank you guys for being here and participating. This is obviously one of my favorite nights of the week to get together with you all and discuss what's going on that's related to Auburn. There are many things that we can get this started with discussing this evening. And certainly, as it's in the title, SEC Baseball Bonanza. It is SEC Baseball Tournament time. The weather has already been pretty feisty and shifted around the schedule a little bit. Auburn should be playing right now or about to play their first game, but that will not be played until tomorrow afternoon, morning, depending on what time zone you're in. So we can certainly discuss that a little bit, especially as it pertains to Auburn. That's out there in the space. I know there's a lot of people that are wondering about what's going to happen on the basketball roster. Certainly, we don't focus too much on the speculation side of things here, but we can talk about what the needs are and, kind of feel the temperature of the room about what's Tahad's decision, because I don't think he's made a decision as of this evening, as far as I've checked. I've been checked out for a little bit, for the hour leading up to this. There's that little bit of information. Men's golf, as you see me wearing the shirt, and I'll pull this back so you can see the champion shirt from last year. They are out in Carlsbad, California, to defend their national title. Plenty of sports stuff, plenty of Auburn, other general topics that we can get into this evening. So don't be shy. You guys jump into the chat. Let us know that you're here. We want to say hello to you and give you a shout out like Thomas. And obviously hear from you on what's on your mind, your hearts, your souls. And you can do that by taking advantage of our call-in link, which is at the top of the chat here on YouTube. You should be able to see that in the pinned at the top of the YouTube chat. On Facebook, you should be able to see it at the top. It won't be pinned, as well as the links to barnersupply.com that you want to go visit. And please do support them. You support us by supporting them, and they're a great Auburn company, as we've already talked about. But I don't know why I took that one off there. But that is available now. We'll start taking calls in just a little bit, so you can go ahead and get in line if you'd like to do that. I started off the show by giving you guys a little bit of a kind of a rundown of some of the bigger news stories that are out there right now. That's not everything. And certainly there's a lot that you probably all want to discuss a little more than anything else. So you can jump into the chat and let us know what you want to discuss. Let's start right here with what our our topic was in the particular title, the SEC baseball tournament. As we addressed, they should be playing right now or about to play. The weather forced them to bump back game times to the point where Auburn will now play on Thursday morning on Central Time, 11 noon Eastern Time, against Texas A&M. Can I just wave my little victory flag over here? I predicted it correctly on our not take it too seriously prediction show of the SEC tournament. Austin and I did as part of the Auburn Experience podcast this past week. If you saw that, you saw that I picked Texas A&M to upset Mississippi State, and Austin scoffed at me, just scoffed. So here we go. Texas A&M, number 14 seed, third to last in the SEC, made it through and looks to be playing with a little bit of injury. So Auburn better be ready to go. And I think Cam Tilley is going to be the starting pitcher tomorrow. I was planning to do a reaction show, and I still am to some extent, of the baseball games for the SEC tournament. However, with the time shifting, I know the world doesn't revolve around me, but I do plan my life around some of these events. And so when they shift schedules, you plan your daily schedule off of that stuff. So I had an appointment tomorrow that will be likely I will be on the road to about the time that game is wrapping up, unless things get going a little bit quicker in it. So I'm not sure if we'll be able to do a post-game stream or not. If we did do one, it would be later, and I don't know what I'm going to be getting into that evening. So unfortunately, life happens and the schedule changes and the weather happens for the SEC baseball tournament. So we'll see what we can do, but we were planning on doing one each time. So if you've got any predictions about how you feel about that, does the Texas A&M win move to play Auburn? Does that change anything for you? Your confidence level? Are you less confident? They would move on to face LSU, who they've swept before. So that's there in front of you. You may feel good about it. I tend to think the more you've beaten somebody, the less likely it's going to happen just by the law of averages next time. So that could be worrisome. You'd have to run into likely Arkansas on the other side of this thing. And then you've got Georgia and Texas on the other side who will eliminate each other and others as well. So it's a challenging SEC tournament as always. Auburn's path would not be easy, but it's there right in front of him, and it begins tomorrow for the Auburn Tigers. I am so excited for the remainder of baseball season because not only do we get this week with the SEC tournament, but we'll be hosting a regional unless the powers that be just somehow have the biggest brain fart of all time. We're waiting to see if they'll do a super regional, meaning they would have to win their regional and be a top 8 seed to host a super regional. So we could be in store definitely for one fun weekend in Auburn, maybe two. My plan as of this moment is to be there at least for some of both weekends. We'll see how all of that shakes out. So you all saddle up because we're becoming a baseball show primarily right here for a little bit, but there's still plenty to talk about in different spaces. So let's get into it. We'll take our first caller tonight. He has been waiting patiently and he's always ready to roll. There he is. What's going on, Mr. Kevin?
We will be number one forever.
We will be number one forever. Well, I think some people would disagree with you from other fan bases, but certainly in our hearts, we can say that.
I think we will beat Texas A&M tomorrow.
I think you're not the worst. It's not the worst prediction to make. They are the 14 seed. We are the 6 seed. Auburn has been one of the hotter teams in the SEC, so it wouldn't be the worst thing. I do know this, Kevin, that they really appreciate that cowboy hat that you're wearing. So it almost feels like you're rooting for the Aggies a little bit. I did that. I knew you weren't going to let that slide. I know you're wearing that for Jarquez Hunter. So are you going to be watching the SEC tournament?
Yeah. Oklahoma being in Georgia 3-1 right now.
3-1 or 31?
3-1.
3. I thought you said 31. I was like, wow, they won up that Auburn's big scoring games. 3-1. So there you go. Not surprised that Georgia would be in the lead there. Certainly they would have to be, Auburn would have to get to the championship game to see them, but I'm excited to start watching them tomorrow.
How you been doing? Good.
Doing well, getting back in the groove of things after a very busy and trying last couple weeks. But it's nice, right? It's nice to get
When
back in the
hey,
back in the gym.
when does Auburn golf start their quest to the national championship?
Well, so they're already out there. They left 2 days ago, and then Jackson Coyven, our star golfer who was up for basically their version of the Heisman Trophy, he had to like go to Dallas, and the coach did as well for a day. But they're all together now. The NCAA tournament, maybe someone in the chat will get to it before I do. I'm pulling it up right now. I believe it's probably going to start either tomorrow or let's see. It's soon. How about that? Golf championship. When does the NCAA men's golf tournament start? Regionals start on May 2. Okay, that's regionals. We don't want regionals. Why are they making this so difficult, Kevin?
Oh no.
They make it so difficult to find your information and quick. Of course, I could have had it ready to go before that. Maybe someone in the chat can figure that out so I don't bore you guys with me stumbling around looking for that. I see regional.
They
Here we
said
go.
my phone said on Friday they start.
That's what I felt like. It was like a weekend start because if I'm not mistaken, you have about 3 days worth of what's called stroke play.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you move into match play with like the top 8, I think. So
That Jackson, what's his name? Last
Jackson Coyven.
name? He's
Jackson
good. He's
Yeah, he
good.
is. Yes, he is. So I don't know if this is correct, actually. It says the men. Oh, that was for the regionals. Yeah, see, this is why it's so confusing. So it says 30 teams, 6 individuals will advance to the championship round May 23rd through the 28th. So that would be Friday.
Yeah, Friday.
So the 23rd, the 24th, and the 26th maybe is going to be that first thing that we talked about. And then the last 2 days is probably going to be your match play. I'm guessing.
I hope they win it again.
Yeah, they are the reigning national champions. Supporting them today. I don't know if you saw my shirt when I came in right there.
I got Cam Newton.
You're cheering them on via Cam Newton, huh? But yes, they're going to get going. So think about this, Kevin. You have got a lot of Auburn stuff basically from tomorrow. So if Auburn were to win, Auburn's baseball starts tomorrow.
Yeah.
Then golf and baseball hopefully will be playing on Friday, maybe even Saturday. Golf could go on into Tuesday, it looks like. And then NCAA regionals will start on Friday, I believe. Maybe some start on Thursday.
Hey,
I don't know. There's a lot going on.
You think we could get a number 1 seed
in the baseball tournament?
Yeah, regionals.
So I don't know if you know how it works. So we are right now slated pretty much to be a number 1 regional seed. Now we won't be the number 1 overall, but we would be a number 1 seed in that regional. We would be a host team.
Yeah.
Most people have us somewhere in the vicinity of 6 to 8, depending on where you look at. And that's where you kind of want to be to host a super regional if you make it that far.
Yeah.
But right now we would be the top seed in whatever regional we get put in, which would be our host.
I hope we host it so I can get to go to it.
So you would come to a game if it was hosted?
Yeah.
Well, we want to see you there. Kevin, you keep teasing me that I'm going to get to see you, and it hasn't happened yet. Maybe this time.
Hey, I think our defense on the football team will be real good.
Well, when you got a defensive coordinator like DJ Durkin, and when everybody wants to try to steal him from you, and you have to pony up some cash to keep him, reportedly, certainly that speaks to how well your defense has been doing. But obviously, individuals, the way that the offense has lagged behind a little bit, certainly the defense has kept us in game at times. It's been very, very good thing for Auburn over the last couple of years.
Is Quan Fagans? Is he on the defense side?
He is. He is a safety. So I'm not sure where he's going to fall in depth charts. It's a little bit too early for all of that, but we'll be here. We'll be in that fall practice period before you know it here. We're just about to get to the end of May. All you got is June. If you can get to about the middle of July, you'll have SEC Media Days and about another 2-week layoff, and then fall practice will be here.
when does the fall practice start?
That's what I was saying. There's not really a set date yet, but it tends to be 2 weeks before school starts. Like the Auburn goes to classes for the fall is what I've found, and I remember from the past. So if you go look up on the calendar when Auburn starts their semester, look about 2 weeks before that, because I think they like to have about 4 weeks of practices before the next 4 to 5 for the first game.
They've been talking about Deuce Knight.
Who's been talking about Deuce Knight?
Paul Feinbaum.
Paul Feinbaum. You've been listening to Paul Feinbaum. What are you doing on that show?
He said
that's nothing but trouble over there.
Somebody called on there, and Paul Feinbaum said something like, "Are you talking about that kid named Deuce Knight?"
Yeah.
And they said yes, he might get to start in middle of the season, they said.
Well, here's what I'm going to say this for you, Kevin, for everybody else about the quarterback situation. Right now, it looks like, and Coach Hugh Freeze has said, without basically saying, Jackson Arnold is the starter. He has used words like he's the number one guy right now. We should all assume that's the way it's heading. That's the way it's always looked it was going to be, and that's the way it's going to be. If you find yourself, and this is not necessarily directed at you, Kevin, but just anybody in general talking about quarterbacks, kind of hoping, wishing, or even kind of trying to build that narrative that he's going to start in the middle of the season, that means that you're kind of wishing for your team to suffer. Because if Jackson Arnold is the guy, and looks like it's going to be, then that means that they had to lose, not do as well, or he had to have an injury for that to change. So I would say that's not the way we should be thinking about it at all. I love Deuce Knight. Glad he's here. Can't wait to see what he's going to do whenever his time arrives. And if he wins the starting job to start off the season, got whoever gets thrown out there, Ashton Daniels, he's thrown out there, he's going to have my full support, and it should have everybody's full support. So we'll see. I know we're just in the speculation season. Everybody's just bored and trying to come up with different things to talk about. So, and it's the Paul Feinbaum show we're referencing too. So,
and I think the starter for the running back job is DeMario Austin.
Yeah, I think that's probably going to be the case for right now. We'll see. Jeremiah certainly has been around for a while, had time to kind of grow into what his role is going to be. And certainly there's other options there as well. Plenty of time to be looking at starters and stuff down the line.
Did we get another running back from the transfer thing?
Yeah, Darrell Robinson, but that was a long time ago from UConn. So it's been a minute. But anyway, so we'll talk more about the roster and stuff when we get to fall, Kevin. It's always good to hear from you, buddy, and I'm always happy to see that cowboy hat.
Yeah, War Eagle.
War Eagle, Kevin. Bye. All right, folks, you guys can take advantage of the call-in link as well. Somebody's got to beat Kevin to the punch one day. He's like right there. As soon as I go live, he's ready to roll. But you guys can take advantage of that as well by hitting the link at the top of the chat, or on Facebook. If you scroll back up to the top, you'll find it there, along with our links to Burner Brand. Make sure you check them out. I'm wearing their gear. It's just one thing of their gear, just one logo they have. They have three main logos. They have one that just says kind of this, I forget what the script is called, but Barner across it. You've got this is my favorite, frankly, right here. And then they're brand new, just the classic barn logo that they put out there now. Do check them out, please. We would love for you to visit their website via the description link or what's in the chat for you guys. Or if you ever need to, just go ahead and check it out and see if you would like to help support them. And you support us by doing that as well. Thanks to Barner Brand for supporting us and supporting Auburn Family Night. Okay. Corey says, think I might try to sneak down to the Hoover Met and try and catch a game if tickets aren't overblown. Corey, maybe you can speak to this, since obviously you clearly have some knowledge of what to do. Is there any spaces kind of like around Plainsman Park, around the Hoover Met, where you can see the game kind of without going in? Is there anything like that? Because that would be awesome. Because I've gotten asked a lot this week from people like on our TikTok streams, am I coming to that? And I'm not, obviously, or I'd already be there or on the way there. And I will be busy this weekend. Oh, he says, no, dadgummit. So you got to buy a ticket. Well, that's just smart business sense on their part. But I hear great things about the Hoover Met and the way the SEC tournament is run. And I am hoping one day I can make it over there. I'll probably, if they make it to the SEC championship, not this year, but another year, squeeze out some money to go and experience that for the first time. But yeah, it would be a cool experience. He says, not without the Hoover PD breathing down your neck. Thomas, you're not too far from that area. Maybe what, 30 minutes, maybe? Not even 30 minutes if I'm thinking about it, right? So maybe Thomas and Corey should run on over there together and put up a sign that says E2C or something like that. That would be good. I'm going to get you one that would to no end. That would to no end make me happy if I saw one of y'all or anybody who's a listener or follower put up some of the gear or something like that out there. I'm trying to get free tickets. Ooh, you got some sources or things like that. Hold on, Thomas, we got to talk about this. Thomas, sorry, if I'm about to talk about what you shared in our Conquer Club Discord. So stop me if I don't need to speak on it. But basically, Thomas has got all the connections. He knows Charles Barkley enough. He his parents were at the home of one Rob Pate last night. If you know Rob Pate, he's done some podcasts before. He's worked for some of the different media sites, I think, at times too. And he was known as the guy that wrote the book A Tiger's Walk. Hold on. Is it on the Show and Tell at lunch? Show and Tell. If you know the show, you're my best friend. Rob Pate, A Tiger's Walk. Oh, that the ring light's getting that really bad. Have I read it all the way yet? No, but there's pretty much the thing for me. But there you go. That's Rob Pate. He was a defensive back. And Memoirs of an Auburn Football Player. I'll be honest with you guys. I would love to do some type of weird Auburn book club one day, and I have tossed around the idea to people before, and just nothing's ever stuck. Oh, this is going to be bad. Oh no. There you go. A Tiger's Walk, Rob Pate. And I've wanted to. I don't know what do I do? Would I read a chapter a week and then talk to you guys about it or something? Can you tell I'll just find anything Auburn related to talk about? I mean, that's pretty much it. He says, the problem is I know people who have connections. I don't have them myself, but that's how it starts, Thomas. And that's what you go with. You got to build the connections that build the connections. And I'm very much in that vein with you there, Thomas. I know very few people directly that I need to know. I know some, but there are a handful of people for probably non-athletic, like direct athletic things that I could reach out to and maybe get a response from. Some, yes, I feel pretty good I get responses from, but connections is the name of the game sometimes, and that's where it starts. But Thomas is over here acting like he don't have connections, and we know he does. He gets to see Charles Barkley more than we all do, and probably gets to see him in his element and in his antics and things like that. Anyway, all right, so what's on y'all's minds? Let's get into it. What do you want to talk about? Topics, questions, comments. I can yammer on about anything for a while, but I certainly want to spend some time talking about the things that are on y'all's minds and what you're thinking about this week. Tim checking in with us on Facebook. Good to see you, Tim. Thanks for arriving and hanging out with us some this evening. Some of the things that I'm trying to think back through our list of topics that we had. Oh, this is a cool little unique one. Sorry, that was a little tangent here. So I want to give a shout out to my friends and new friends on Facebook, I guess, or Twitter. Cole Gray, he put out a thing pretty recently here with his son getting to do a class poster project about great Alabamians, and somehow he drew Bo Jackson. Come on. How lucky you got to be to get to pull Bo Jackson. I'm not saying that it wasn't difficult to do the project in general, but you got Bo Jackson and your Auburn fans. That's awesome. So I asked today on our podcast, what should we, like, if you could pick an Auburn person to write a poster about, who would it be? And I'm going to take the easy ones. I'm going to take Bo, Barkley, Big Hurt, Cam off the board, who would you want to write a report about for your elementary school poster presentation? Who would that be? I propose that I would do Nick Marshall because I would love to tell the story or show like where he came from, what position, how he wasn't a quarterback to what he did in 2 years at Auburn, and then him going back to these old positions when he played in semi-pro over in Canadian leagues and stuff like that. I think that would be a cool, where were they? What did he do at Auburn in the middle? Because it's those trifold things. And then what would he what did he do after? All those kind of things. Quentin Groves, that's a good one. And that, do you want to talk about going heartstrings there? That's a good one. I've had a lot of Quentin Grove, not directly his highlights showing up in my feed lately, but just some stuff with him in it. It's part of team clips and things like that, which has been really interesting to see how that works out. WT says, I am generally a pessimist for Auburn football, but I have a feeling that Auburn will surprise a lot of people this year. So WT, this is kind of what I operate in, and I do my best to be very even keeled as a commentator about this, and not just because I think that's what I'm supposed to do. I just think that's the best approach to doing this. But what always ends up happening is as we get closer to the season, I tend to bump up whatever expectations I have just a hair to take that chance that I might not get hurt. So I think it's I wouldn't call you a pessimist. From my experience, WT, you're not a pessimist. You are someone who just operates in a little bit more reality than others, especially from what we see online and the way people reacted to certain comments last week that weren't as deep as they made. That was the theme of last week when people were reacting to certain comments from Hugh Freeze. I was like, it ain't that deep, folks. It ain't that deep. Just settle down just a little bit. Unbeaten Lake says someone needs to leak the college football 26 so that we can see our Nike uniforms. You literally have 1 month and 8 days, let's call it, because it's basic. Today's basically over. 8 days left. You can be a little bit patient. You're being impatient, but I know you're ready. Some of y'all have been clamoring for this for years. Nike, you gotta get the Nike. It's gonna fix everything. I promise you, it's going to not be as amazing as everybody thinks it's going to be. But I'm happy that you all are going to be happy about that. Oh, another great suggestion. Kevin Green would be a good one. Thomas. Why are you bringing up all the greats that have passed? This is making me sad right now. Let's see here. When I was a kid a long time ago, I would have written about my Auburn hero, Pat Sullivan. I took that off the board, Tim. I took that off the board, or at least if I wasn't clear. I did. I guess I didn't. No Heismans, no Charles, no Frank, no none of that. Can't do any of those. If they got a statue, you got to pick someone in the Auburn space that doesn't have a statue, a Heisman, or number retired. Who would you pick? Ben Tamburillo? That's a good one. That's kind of I wouldn't call that a deep cut. I would call that your stuff cut for suggesting a name like that. I was in college when Bo Barkley and the Big Hurt were also students at Auburn. Well, you're dating yourself now. Oh, goodness. WT says, I can't wait to blame losses on Thorne this year. Yeah, it's the same crowd that blamed the losses on Bo. It's the same crowd that blame the losses on TJ, that, so on. And so heavens, if you said anything about Robbie Ashford, but they didn't want to hear that. It's the same crowd. It's always the same. All right, Tim has now picked one. I like this. These are good suggestions from you guys. Keep them coming. Who would you write them about? My non-Heisman would be Tracy Rocker. So Corey, and this is where my mind obviously immediately went for who I would write a poster report about. But I felt like that's almost in the Heisman vein. So I'm not removing it. I'm just saying that it felt about as close as you can get, maybe because it's a cheap, easy one for me to do. You as well. So Cadillac is a good one. David Langner. That's a good one. David Langner, block the kick. Tucker Frederickson isn't talked about enough. I agree. See, look, This is why I love this show. You guys know me, and you know your Auburn stuff. We're going deep. We're going to some of the obvious ones, and we're going to some of the easy ones. I'm gonna remove us for a second, just for a second, from the football realm. Rowdy Gaines. Rowdy Gaines is the biggest name that doesn't get talked about enough in the Auburn space. That is one that needs to be a poster today, a poster presentation in elementary school right away. Trey Smith, minus the Y, yes, but Trey Smith, that's a cool story about literally being the only running back we can call upon and becoming part of that amazing stable that didn't amount to much that one year, but it was still cool to talk about and think about. Takeo Spikes is also a good one. WT says, I feel like being a former kicker special teams player that Kyle would write at length about our new punter, Hudson Cack. Hudson Cack. That's how I'm going to say it, and you can't make me say it any other way. But yes, maybe I can give you some detailed histories of special teams and not be coerced into saying things that shouldn't be said. I can't even remember what episode that was. But man, what a moment. That, Austin losing the camera, Dustbuster. What else? If you are, I don't think anybody here is, if you are an old school, like I'm talking the beginning of E2C Network, which started out as the Ever to Conquer podcast back in the day, with Ben, original co-host, and Tristan, also original co-host, about Ben. Well, actually, never mind. I can't. but there was a joke about Ben having to do stuff in the closet and like how he still even had a better setup than us at the time. His sound quality was so much. No, Tristan was the one that was in the closet. That's what it was. Anyway, so you go with that however you will. But that's some old school, weird and strange moments in E2C Network history. All right, we got our next caller ready to go. It's been a while since we've seen from him, but it's time to go to school and learn a little bit from Doctor, your buddy Thomas. What's going on?
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing this evening?
I'm doing well. It seems like everybody seems to be in good spirits. I'm honestly shocked that sparked as much ideas and conversation as it did, but that's why I love talking about this stuff here. Who would you write your report about? Who did you say?
I had Quentin Groves.
Yeah, you trying to make me cry. What's going on? I mean, what's
David
going
Langer.
on?
I mean, the greats are the greats, right?
Yeah. But you had to go pick two in a row that are passed on now. And
Well, I got to pick my favorites, and then Kevin Green played for the Steelers for a number of years, and that's my team too.
Yeah.
So
I got it. I'll let it slide.
And then punt, Bama punt, like my pops, my dad, he went to high school with Greg Gant, who was the punter at Bama when all that happened.
Yeah.
And quick funny story. This was back in the late 60s, early 70s, and Dad would walk out to practice with a cigarette in his beak, and he would walk out there, and he'd walk over to he played split end, the defensive end, so he'd walk over to the quarterbacks and puff his cigarette, stick it in his face mask, and then he'd pick up a football and throw it further than the quarterback would. Then he'd go over to Greg Gant and puff a cigarette, stick it in his face mask, and then he'd punt it further than Greg Gant would. So Dad's got so much clout on Greg Gant, it ain't even funny.
The stories, and somebody will say this when we're all gone, down the line too, the stories that come out of y'all's time are just so weird. But it does feel like the stories that come out of our parents, our grandparents' eras are just so unique and like different. And of course, they're going to be different time, different technology, all that stuff. But just think about how weird or how much we talk about the uniqueness of their stories now. And when people are going to be saying about the things that we talked about, got excited about, and the players and the things like, oh, we don't even know who that is anymore. Let me remind this to folks here. There will come a day where Cam Newton is not as big a deal except in the history part of it. And that's going to be wild. Lord willing, obviously, if he doesn't come back before then, there will come a day when Cam Newton will not be the biggest name of the recency bias. So something to think about. All right, I've taken enough of your time. What you got tonight? Uh-oh. Everybody settle down. He's pulled out the notebook. Get ready to go to school. What you got?
Look, I've been away from it for a while. Life gets busy, things happen. But let's talk about some football, dadgummit, because
Dadgummit.
it's coming. It's almost hot enough to start really talking about football.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes,
I missed last week and everything, but I did hear Coach Freeze's comments at the Regions tournament.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care one dadgum bit what he had to say. Not to say that I don't like what Coach Freeze is talking about, but when he got hired, he said it's going to be at least 2025 before everything's going. He explained that in that very short interview with the local sports guys that used to be on Jocks and
the First Round Live is who that was
yeah,
from. Yeah.
correct. And I grew up listening to those guys and everybody on Jocks, and nothing against those guys. I really think Kubelik and McElroy are a much better show because they've actually played the sport at a collegiate and professional level.
Yeah. And you said that about a Bama person too, so that's saying something.
Look, he's got college reps. He knows better. He knows better.
Yeah, sure.
But Feinbaum's a legend, but I can guarantee you most of us listening and talking right now could outthrow him, outrun him, outblock him.
Oh, he probably would agree with that as well.
he would. There's personalities, and then there's people who have played the dadgum sport. So I think that makes a big difference in who's talking about it. But I don't care if you're angry about what Coach Free said at all.
Yeah,
he's the head coach. He knows. He already said it's going to take time. It's going to be when he got hired. He said 2025 before it's effective.
Yeah,
he said it. Another point I want to make is within interviews with the players, when Peyton Thorne was our quarterback, and I'm doing my dangest not to knock on him.
I got you. No,
He mentioned a couple of times how difficult Freeze's offense was for him.
Yeah.
What did Jackson Arnold say in spring practice? This is easy. Go out there, just run the play. Make the right decision. It works. I love that. I love that. Do I love Jackson Arnold as our quarterback? Not especially. Am I angry about it? No. But if he can come in and run the offense and be effective, I'm a fan.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, because you know me, I'm just an Auburn guy. I don't sit there and focus on everybody else's stuff. Is it true that last year they ran kind of an RPO style at Oklahoma? Or is that just people kind of applying what Jackson Arnold, because that's what we hear is Jackson Arnold knows this system. Was it more of he ran this in high school, which he's not super far removed from? I can't remember what they ran last year because it's Brent Venables is a defensive minded head coach. So I'm just not as familiar with what he would do as a head coach, you know?
There's a large majority of college teams that run an RPO. So it's prevalent throughout the sport all the way down to the peewee level at this point, because you start in your formative years learning a position and learning an offense.
Sure.
So, yes, Oklahoma is, without putting a pin in it, yes, it's an RPO offense.
Sure.
It depends on
they at least run elements of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's a normal thing. Almost every team is going to have an RPO element in their offense.
Right.
It's just the way the game is played. You know, drag it back 10, 15 years in the NFL, pro style.
Mm-hmm.
In college was a lot of option offenses. So you kind of mesh the two together and you get an RPO.
Mm-hmm.
You have this, is it run first? Is it throw first? Or is it let the quarterback make a decision of what he's seeing right there, right in front of him? Okay, I can fake a read to this guy. Is the end crashing down on me or not? If the end is sitting there, well, might as well. I'm gonna pull the ball. Then I've got an opportunity to throw it. But if the end is crashing down, I'm sure not going to give it to somebody who's just going to get their teeth kicked in by this guy that's a free rusher, nobody blocking him, coming down here with his hair on fire. He's 6'5", 250, 60, 70 pounds. Like, why am I going to get Damari Alston killed for no reason when I can pull that ball out, move around a little bit, and maybe make a 5-yard throw to Barry Thompson, Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton, somebody, and we've made a positive gain on offense.
Yeah.
You don't just sit there and just go, well, that was terrible. You can't do that.
Right.
The game is adapted so much
Right.
that you have to take what the defense is giving you.
Yep.
And on
Yep.
defense, you have to apply what the offense is doing to what you're doing.
Yep. Yeah. I'll tell you this much, and I know this sounds silly, but playing this year I don't know if y'all can hear those fireworks going off, but apparently Memorial Day celebrations have already started here in Georgia on a Wednesday evening. That's wild. I mean, that is really close. It is fireworks. Anyway, sorry, that just threw me off there a little bit. Playing NCAA 25 this year, I finally have an appreciation for the RPO and the way they say it, what they set up for Auburn in there to run it. I said I made Peyton Thorne look like a Heisman Trophy winner in there because it was I was running the fire out of that thing. I am very much an option guy, a spread guy. I know, no shock given my affinities towards certain head coaches, but the RPO, I've grown in my appreciation for it. Like you said, you've got to take what the defense is giving you, and it gives you so many options to do that. I forget what the play is called, but it's usually my go-to first play, and it's literally if the corner is up, I'm not throwing the ball, I'm running it. If the corner is off, I'm going to give it to Cam Coleman out here and let him get about 3, 4, maybe 5 if you juke somebody out, and then we're going to keep moving and get the ball rolling, so to speak. So sorry, I don't know, that was a bit of a tangent, but
it's called an option for a reason.
Right. Yeah. So I like it. I've learned to, my point in all that is I've learned to appreciate it. And certainly it seems like Jackson Arnold is very comfortable with what Hugh wants him to do, what he wants him to know what to do. It seems maybe just from, like you said, reading between what's being said or even not said, that there seems to be a comfort level there that wasn't maybe there the last couple of years.
I really want it to work. I do. I want us to be successful. I want us to win ball games. And the only way we're going to do that is with the right players for the head coach's vision for this team.
Yeah.
So he said, and like he said in his interview, had year 1 recruiting class, year 2, year 3, which is where we're at now.
Yeah.
He needs to get who he wants in his system in before this is going to work the way that he wants it to.
Right.
And I've already waited 2 seasons. I got time.
Yeah.
I want this to work.
Yeah.
I really, really do.
Yeah. I had someone today say on our TikTok stream that they felt like this was and they didn't mean it this drastic, but essentially we're saying this is a make or break year for Auburn football in terms of its longevity. And I think what they meant ultimately is this pointing to what Hugh said, is that this is kind of where things should start turning. And if it doesn't start turning, everybody's got different opinions about what that means. Then it could be a make or a break in terms of changes or things like that. I'm not in any way advocating for a change to be made out of it outside of extenuating circumstances, but that is probably the line of thinking that I can go with there. It's not that drastic, but certainly this is what he asked for. As you've made your point, let's see what he can do and put together. What other football stuff you got? Fully
agree with you. I do want to reference Corey's comment right there on the fullback, buddy. I missed the fullback like. That was, as a child, that was my dream, was to play fullback, to be the dude that was just knocking dudes back. And then after you make 16 blocks in a row, they let you run it for 3 yards in a cloud of dust. And people are bleeding and laying on the ground and calling for their moms behind you. I wanted it so bad. But when I was in high school, they needed me to be a lineman. So I was a lineman. Yeah. And I'm not a very large person, but that's where I ended up playing. So played tackle 1 year, played guard the other. So there it goes. But other football stuff, offensive line. My heart, my soul, the offensive line. We got 2 incredible transfers in. We got Xavier Chaplin. He came out of Virginia Tech. He, let's see, we're also returning 4 of 5 starters from last year.
Yep.
But I also think that this year's offensive line is going to be twice as good as last year. So let's say Chaplin's going to come in. He's going to play left tackle for us. That allows Dylan Wade to slide down to left guard, where he's a more his build, his natural fit. He should be there. But we started him at guard last year, but we couldn't have a tackle, Percy Lewis. So he had to slide back out and do a job that he's not he's physically built for it, but his measurables are not physically built for it.
Sure.
So we've got Chaplin, who's 6'7". I think he's 323. Long arms, good range, good feet, good punch. I like him as a true left tackle. Probably going to be drafted. I mean, and that's not just the homer in me and the offensive line homer in me. He's going to get drafted. He's good enough to go pro.
Yeah.
So we also brought in Mason Murphy from USC. So let me look at my notes. Okay, he started 27 games at USC.
Yep.
And God knows we hate USC as Auburn fans. He had 10. He played in 27 games.
Yeah.
10 starts, 5 of them at right guard, 3 of them at left tackle, 2 of them at right tackle.
Yes.
Now he's projected to be a right tackle for us, but we also have Too Tall Miller. So if Jeremiah Wright can't cut the mustard, which I love him, I think he's a mauler. I think he's a tough dude. If he can't get it done, I think Mason Murphy is going to be our right guard this year. And I ain't mad at it. It's another big dude in there. Connor Lew, dead center. He's like, Connor Lew is the stone cold Steve Austin of offensive linemen.
Yeah,
He really
talking about him now. Yeah.
Like he's the like he's that dog. Like he's that one who's I don't care. Like he's hardcore and I love it. So he's going into his 3rd year of playing collegiate football, and everything I can find from what teammates are saying and coaches are saying is when we had no quarterback, when Peyton Thorne's gone and we don't have a single quarterback that we think can be a starter, it was him and Dylan Wade that were walking in the meetings going, hey, dog, we got to get this right.
Yeah.
And if you got a center, your offensive lineman's walking in there, commanding that respect and getting that respect, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. He's a dog. And then I skipped over Chaplin. He started 25 games at right tackle at Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
So solid.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of people expect it to be. Let me take a step further what you said too. And I've had this conversation a lot lately about, in the context of this conversation is people bringing up that Cam Newton did everything for the 2010 team. And while I will grant you that he drastically changed the trajectory of that team, that trajectory doesn't happen exactly how it does without supporting pieces, namely that offensive line that was with Cam Newton. And there's a reason that we can name guys from that: Mike Berry, Baron Isom, Ryan Pugh, Lee Zimba, for all his jumping off sides, but still a good offensive lineman. You have Chad Slade, and there's one more name I'm always missing from that, and maybe you can help me. And I'm trying to make a point here with the current of what you just talked about, but there's a 6th a name from that was kind of mixed in there because I think Chad and this guy switched in and out. So I said Barry, Isom, Zimba, Pugh, Slade. Do you remember the last one's name?
Slade was 2013, not 2010.
I thought he was there at the start as a freshman, and he kind of rotated in.
He did rotate, but 2013, the Nick Marshall season,
yes, that was his.
That was when he was huge for us.
Yes,
but 2010, he did play, but he didn't really mature until the 2011-2012 series.
So then, so that's how I've been thinking about it. So who's that 5th guy that I can never get his name, but I can like see his face? Do you remember off the top of your head?
Not well. I mean, I could try.
No, that's fine. It'll come to us at some point.
That was many years ago and many concussions ago. So I can't give.
Well, my point is this. Is you had like this core 5 and you had somebody, not just a Chad, but a Chad Slade, even as a young guy that was rotating in and getting some, making waves to what he would eventually become. So now right here, you've got this core group that you broke down for us: your Chaplin, your Murphy, your Connor Lew, your Jeremiah Wright, who's been here and may start, he may rotate it, whatever, but he's a solid piece there that you're going to be able to insert where you need him to do that. You're going to have Too Tall, Isaiah Miller. Yep. And then you're going to have, who did I forget? I forgot somebody.
If we're going to have swing guys on the line this year, I think it's going to be Dylan Senda that came in last year.
Yes. Yeah.
He was with Northwestern. and DeAndre Carter, the huge kid we got out of California.
DeAndre, that's the one. That's the one. Okay, so that kind of feels a little bit like the Chad and DeAndre thing. Now DeAndre's further along than Chad was at that time, so that's I guess that's my point. Is when you can pinpoint a group right there that really looks like that's going to be the starters, and then they've got those kind of core guys that are rotating underneath them and playing a little bit but learning underneath them. That to me, potentially, of course, it feels like you and I've been having this conversation for many years now, is the stepping stone forward. Here's what I want. I want consistency.
Yes. We would have had more had Braden Joyner stayed, because he did play some really good reps.
Yes.
He played really significant good reps, and he's a good offensive lineman.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have kept him. But I get it. He wants to go somewhere and be a starter. So go where you got to go. Improve yourself. Improve yourself, brother. Do what you got to do.
Exactly.
But I would have loved to have kept him. I don't dislike Jaden Muskrat, but I'm not upset that he's not in the mix anymore. But I think that DeAndre Carter is always going to play guard, just based off his height. He's his weight. He's a very big guy. He came in at 340. But Dylan Senda, I think, is a guy that in a pinch, let's say somebody tweaked a wrist, an elbow, a shoulder, an ankle, a knee, said, hey, man, I need a couple plays off. I think Dylan Senda can come in there and be a guard, be a tackle for us. Don't think he's going to be a center. I think he can play either of the two outside spots for us, come in there in a pinch, help us out. I think that early in the year, we need to get all of the reps for linemen that we possibly can. Hey, look, we're up 35-3. Dadgummit, put them in there. Let's get them let's get them meaningful reps against other D1 players.
Yep.
Let's get them. You gotta train. Look, in any job you're doing, whether it's sports or otherwise, you got to get your fingers dirty. Mm-hmm. And you need to get them dirty enough that you're going to have to wash your hands twice.
Wash your hands twice. Yeah, and to do that, you've got to be able to get up on folks that you're supposed to get up on and stay up there and not let them come back, so that you can get those meaningful extended reps in there. And certainly, I think we all see the formula for success, and so do the coaches as well. Obviously, it's just a matter of going out there and doing. And that's kind of where that conversation kind of rounding us back to where we started our conversation with the Hugh Freeze commentary of the last week and stuff like that. Everybody's just kind of knows where we're heading or where we would like to be heading. And everybody's just getting a little bit antsy to see it happen. Fans are, coaches are, players are. It's time for Auburn to get back to more of its prominence that it's known historically. And I think we all are itching to see that. Everybody wants the same thing. Everybody's just got different opinions about how quickly and in what manner it needs to happen.
Winning fixes everything.
Yes, it does. It certainly does.
If we can go out there and we can win, then we're going to be able to get better recruits, because they say, man, this is going upwards. I want to be a part of this.
Yeah. So
the more that we win, the better we're going to get.
Certainly.
And I hate to reference any other team but Auburn, but look at the success that Alabama, Ohio State, Texas, to some extent Oregon has had over the last 10 years, 15 years, is when they win. If you win, you are now a big name program.
Yeah.
Regardless of your past. If you win, you're big. When you're big, you recruit better. When you recruit better, you win more. When you win more,
stable.
It's cycle repeats.
Yep.
It's Noah's Ark, baby, 2 by 2. Just keep doing it. And guess what? The ark's full, it's floating, and the dove comes by 40 days later. I think it's 40. Was it 40?
Yes, 40 days, 40 nights. Yep.
40 days, 40 nights, baby. That's all it takes. If you can put 40 days and 40 nights, then you're going to be successful. And then people are going to talk about you for the rest of time because you were successful and you won.
Yes. Yep. I got you. Listen, we all know where it's where we like for it to be heading. It's a matter of going out there and do it. And certainly it's about getting to be about time that we need to start seeing that for everybody. It's always great to hear from you, my friend. I love getting taken to school. I'm going to start calling you Dr. Thomas, not your buddy Thomas. Dr. Thomas, when you bust out that hat.
Please don't. I don't want that weight on my head.
Well, buddy, it's always good to hear from you. Thanks for hanging out with us this evening.
War Eagle, y'all. Love y'all.
War Eagle. All right, great to hear from Thomas. We also heard from Kevin earlier on the stream. You guys still have access to the call-in link. We are about 55 minutes into the show, and normally we do stick around about an hour, but we've got some questions to answer that you guys had on during our conversation with Thomas, so I'll hit those and anything else that y'all want to bring up. So we're not quite done yet, and we may go a little bit longer, but go ahead and do that. A couple things here. We always want to take the opportunity when we can to remind you of our friends at Barner. Over here, Kyle. Barner Supply, and up here, Kyle. Please visit them. Their links are in the chats up at the very top. They're not pinned up at the top because we've got the call-in link, but if you go up there to the top, if you go to the description on YouTube, or if you just want to have the link that you use, it's called an affiliate link because we're an affiliate of theirs. You can help support them through support us vicariously. Please at least check them out. Go and visit them. They've got some great gear, not just this logo, but others as well. They've got other apparel, other gear that you can get with their great thing, embracing the barnerness. So barn out, barn hard, however you'd like to phrase that. Check that out if you haven't done so already. Okay, there were a couple things that people brought up during the stream that I wanted to discuss, or at least bring their commentary up. Rhodes on Facebook said, appreciate this take on Freeze. He gave the program a 3-year time frame, and that is plain out. Losing our kicker was part of the problem last year. Cost us 2 games. This team is getting better. The offensive line should be much improved this season. So kind of reflecting some of the things that Thomas was talking about there. And I'll also say this just to kind of give a little bit of pushback on what you said. I disagree with the notion that a position lost us something. Now, if we're going to say things like that, I would definitely start looking more towards the offensive line. While I do think they affect the course of the game, they don't affect the ultimate outcome of it as much as people put blame on them sometimes. But I grant you, certainly it was an area that needed to be fixed a little bit. I think here's the overall point, whether it's Rhodes talking about it, I've talked about it, Thomas talked about it. If you take a step back from your emotional reactions to we're not winning the way we want to be and that our rivals are, there's a lot of context there for why these things are happening. And you got to kind of remind yourself of those every once in a while when you can to help process when you're going through the desert a little bit. Thank you, Thomas, for the super chat. You're always too kind. We very much appreciate your support, and always, but especially that as well. Helping keep the lights on here at E2C Network. WT said, this is the best I have felt about O-line since we were cursed with Herb Hand. And what was crazy is that was one of the biggest hires made at the time. Like not just us saying that because I'm a Gus Malzahn fan, but like everybody was praising that hire, and boy, was it not. I also starred this one here. We only have 3 quarterbacks on the roster this year, scholarship potential starter guys, the least since 1999. In 2023 we had 7, but to be fair, 7 is insane while 3 seems more fit. I feel like your 2023 is not necessarily true. I think you're applying some people's former positions to that as well, or maybe a little bit of hyperbole there. I think your point, though, about maybe this is the fewest scholarship quarterbacks that we've had in a while is close to being true, if not completely true. We'll see how all that tracks out there. He said, WT says, I trust Thomas more than anyone on YouTube. Thanks. Or sports channels when it comes to Auburn offensive line. I'm thankful he pops over here too. Last things here. Corey says losing a football game is a group effort. Not one person is at fault. 100% agree. I think it's hard for people to rationalize that sometimes because it seems so simple to them sitting in the stands, sitting at home, that this is going to fix everything, or this is what the only thing that costs us the game. No, because if you do other things that don't put an inexperienced kicker in the moment in a situation where he's probably not set up for success, then that missed field goal doesn't happen. Thus, he doesn't cost you the game. So it's just, you can tell where someone's at in their growth as a sports, I want to say commentator, because that makes it sound like you have an official job or something like that, but just and your conversations by statements. And let me back that up. That's a little bit elitist there. I don't want to come off as that. I think it's just, that's our go-to sometimes because that's the easiest thing to point to. I'm probably guilty of that at times as well with my critiques of the offensive line. I think it's just the easy thing for us to do sometimes. I remember Penn State telling us about the 11-set game during their Herb Hand era. I don't remember that one, but I'm glad I didn't, because that would have just made it more frustrating. Only Bama fans blame the kicker. Hand is at FSU this year. Will be interesting to see where the O-line ends up. That's an interesting point. I want to look that up. Is he officially their offensive line coach, or is he like an analyst? Because I feel like they'll be better off with his recruiting prowess. Well, let's see. Herb Hand. Are you sure that it says UCF? Oh, no. All his things are. Where is Herb Hand at right now? Let's look at FSU. I guess he is there. Offensive line coach. Well, he did go over with Gus to be his offensive coordinator now. So I guess there it is. And there was the confirmation of that from Thomas. Not going to be a losing season, Thomas, just maybe because they're together and they're not good together. You know, he's probably that. What's that? There's a song, I Wish I Could Quit You. Goodness. But I will always talk about that. It's the decision that cost Malzahn a lot, was bringing that on over. Anyway. All right. Final questions, final comments, final topics. Get that in now. I'm going to give you some reminders, some other things, and then we'll wrap up the show here. And I'm going to try some little thing that we have a beta testing for on this program we use to launch the show for them that could be kind of cool. It's a little dangerous, but we'll see here. So y'all just stick around for the end here. Reminders. So what's up next? If you like our scheduled content, most of y'all know the drill, but maybe if you're new here, our next scheduled piece of content is going to be Sunday night. This week, Monday night. It is Memorial Day weekend. It is actually my birthday is next week, and we're going to be celebrating it this weekend. So this Sunday, I will be very busy having some fun with friends and family. So we're not going to do anything this Sunday night. However, just 24 hours later, we will do episode 126 of the Auburn Experience podcast. So join us if you can for that on Monday evening. And that actually may set up pretty nicely with some schedule stuff for NCAA tournament announcements and things like that. But that's the next scheduled thing. We are thinking about doing some potential post-game streams for baseball. But as I expressed at the beginning of the show, but them switching the schedule around, that's kind of complicated things for me. So we'll see how that shakes out. So just be on standby. If you like regular content too, we're doing mostly on TikTok, some daily streams in the middle of the day. It's usually around 2 or 3, something like that. So follow over there if you want to, and all kinds of podcasts for you. Our main podcast, the Auburn Experience with Austin and myself, great conversations this week. And then we're doing the daily one that I put out. That's about a 10-minute catch you up on the latest news, scuttlebutt, just topics and fun stuff in the Auburn Experience. And it seems like many of you are enjoying that. So check all that out. Links in the profile or in the description. Links at the top of the wherever. If you need links, let me know. We'll get them to you. Just search E2C and you'll get it. Okay. Unbeaten Lake says, I want Gus to succeed. Why does he keep bringing Herb everywhere? His O-line pass blocking at UCF was horrendous. Yeah, it's a question I can't figure out. Something like Stockholm Syndrome. Oh, man, that's good stuff. Look, I'm sure Herb Hand is a great guy. I attribute him to a lot of the lack of success that we had here at our offensive line and haven't quite recovered from all of that. Anyway. All right. Thanks, guys, for hanging out, for participating, for being here and being part of our little family within the Auburn family. Once again, want to thank our friends at Barner Supply down there in the corner as well. Links are in the chat, in the description. Please visit them, give them a look. They got some great gear over there for you to have, hats, apparel, other things such as koozies that you might want to check out. Help support Barn Out, Barn Hard with Barner Supply Co. or BarnerSupply.com. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us and being part of our little family within the Auburn family. Until I talk to you again, War Eagle.